Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Our first stop here late on this Wednesday is to take a look at the tropics and see what's going on with Tropical Storm Erin. Here's the loop, and you can see the sun setting over the eastern and central Atlantic, and that swirl right there is what we're talking about with this tropical system that is soon to be a hurricane. All indications are still pointing in that direction, maybe even a major hurricane eventually. Here is the combination of the visible and also the infrared loop, so you can kind of see the cloud tops are getting colder and a little more organized. You can certainly see the swirl in the cloud. What you don't see is any landmass in this at all. It's still way out over the ocean and is days away from even coming close to threatening any islands, and it doesn't look as if it's going to. Let's take a look at the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center. It still has it a tropical storm until Friday in the wee hours of the morning, when they are forecasting it to become hurricane strength, and then kind of glide just north of all the Caribbean islands here, including Puerto Rico. They are still forecasting a major hurricane development, so we're talking about 115 mile per hour winds or greater from that storm, and then it starts to pretty drastically curve back up to the northwest, and maybe even eventually due north. We can take a look at one model data. I like to look at this one, the EFS tropical storm probabilities. This is for Thursday of next week. In the morning, I believe, and there's about a 60% chance of a tropical storm or a hurricane in this zone. And you'll notice by the shape of this that it is forecast to curve back out in that direction. It is still early in the game. That's over a week away. And so it's all about whether this high pressure ridge, which will be centered here and here, will have this little weakness right here to allow it to curve to the north. If for some reason that high pressure belt maintains and strengthens there, that could be another story. It could send that storm more toward coastal areas. Still not out of the question, although a lot of the model consensus so far has been to keep that out over the open Atlantic. And then on Tuesdays, they update this. This is the long-range tropical forecast. This is for the Atlantic only. So we're really talking way out here. So we're talking about the 20th through the 26th here. And even in on my markers, there it is. Let's say my marker wasn't working. 20th through the 26th there, and even into early September, they're still watching a zone. Still pretty low probability out here over the Atlantic, but right in the major development region, the MDR. So that is well within the parameters for this time of year, and indeed where we probably will be watching for tropical development. Well, the heavy rain hazards are all pretty much in the eastern U.S., and this is still a slight risk of a 15% chance of anything reaching flash flood guidance out in that area. So that includes Charlotte, Raleigh, up to Washington, D.C., much of Virginia, getting as far north as Pittsburgh and parts of Pennsylvania. Another little pocket there in the Florida Panhandle, still another one there in northeast Texas. Right now, the only flood watches in effect are just a little patch around Philadelphia, and then those areas around Nashville and northern parts of Alabama and Georgia. And again, they haven't pulled the trigger on any more extensive watches. It could be that they're going to do that this evening after I record this. We'll take a look at Thursday, and there's a slight risk of some heavier rain, maybe reaching flash flood guidance, Norfolk, Virginia, parts of North Carolina as well. Let's take a look at some forecast parameters. What's interesting is if I take a look around here over the next 5 days, the heaviest rain is actually forecast to be in northern Wisconsin and parts of Minnesota, where we're seeing 3, maybe 4-inch totals, where you see that yellow there along the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. Most of that will fall toward the end of the 5-day period, so that would be this weekend. I did want to take a quick look at the northwestern U.S., where several frontal systems are dumping some pretty heavy rain potential up there in parts of the mountainous areas of Washington and coastal areas of Washington as well. So again, the yellow is indicating a 4-inch possibility over the next 5 days. So that's worth noting, although this has not been denoted as a high-risk area of precipitation, mostly I think because it's small and in the mountains. And but if you look at the heavy rain hazards over the next couple of days, these don't even kick in till day 3 through 7. So this would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Tuesday. So again, northern Great Lakes states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. for the 16th through the 18th, maybe a little bit there in New York and Pennsylvania. Still another monsoonal flow into New Mexico and parts of Arizona, 16th through the 20th. Severe weather for the remainder of Wednesday. This would be valid through 7 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning. Still a pretty good risk in South Dakota, and more of a marginal risk out here in the Northeast. We'll show you a radar there in a second. We'll zoom in on this one. And this is for mostly South Dakota, maybe a sliver of Nebraska, a level 2 out of 5 risk, which has a name. It's slight risk. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for that exact area here. Rapid City is included in that. Traveling along I-80, you would be included in that as well. Here's a radar snapped. I was right around 5:45 or so, I think. And you can see a kind of a broken line of thunderstorms, a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in connection with that. And these are wind gust reports, which have been in the 50s. So almost all of those are below severe criteria. I do see a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust there. I think, mostly 50s in that area. And in the Northeast, kind of a consolation radar loop, even though that isn't in the slight risk, there was a little bit of a risk of severe weather in the Northeast. And indeed, you're seeing a handful of warnings there in southern New Hampshire, just off to the south of Concord, although in the last frames, they went away. And then the red is not tornado warnings. Those are flash flood warnings. In effect, there was even a severe thunderstorm warning around north of Trenton there for a while with that activity. If we go ahead to tomorrow, Thursday now, the northern plains are the main game with a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. Again, Fargo included in that. That's for Thursday. And then on Friday, not surprisingly, it's in the northern plains again. Remember, there's a developing rain threat in this area too, so that kind of goes hand in hand with the severe weather threat as well. And this is a marginal or 1 out of 5 risk in that part of the world. We'll take a look at that supercell composite for the 20th through the 26th. This is looking like pretty low probabilities and in a pretty small area from Montana through Nebraska, parts of the Dakotas. Again, pretty typical for this time of year. Severe weather really settles down in August, and supercells are kind of hard to find generally. But you're going to find them. They're going to be in 2 places, the northern plains, maybe parts of the Northeast, and in association with I don't know if these would actually classify for supercells if they're connected to tropical storms or hurricanes. In fact, I'm going to find that out as we get later in the season, see what that particular composite says when we do have a tropical system approaching some coastal area, maybe this coming fall. Here's the visible satellite loop for the whole nation here, so you can see the smattering of breakout of storms there in South Dakota, and also kind of an interesting flow here. So this is all kind of rotating around an upper level high, because you can see the blow off from the thunderstorms in Florida are heading this way, and the blow off from the thunderstorms up here are heading this way. And so we do have an area of high pressure right here controlling that activity. This is the main gesturing flow for summer. It's not much to talk about, but enough to support supercells up here and a strong enough wind field for that to be happening. I also thought just zooming in the southeast would be kind of interesting to look at here. As you can see, these coastal thunderstorms, sea breeze thunderstorms that are developing. I spent some vacation time down here last week, and we saw that on a daily basis. But the good news is that it formed offshore. We had a nice sea breeze, and it only rained on us on the last morning as we were leaving. So that was actually kind of good. Hot weather is not a huge problem, and it really hasn't been this summer. There's just a handful of heat advisories in effect. Northern Louisiana, parts of Texas and Mississippi, small chunk of Florida, up in Maine, parts of Nevada, extreme heat warning for areas, lower valley areas of California. We'll show you how the temperature progression goes here. So the high temperature departures are shown with the colors. Just look at the scale over here. So above normal, well above normal here. Denver's forecasting 98 tomorrow. But much of the country is really not spiking the colors. I mean, they're all staying pretty much in a minus to +6 category, and only there is it getting extreme on the warm side. Maybe a little bit up in the northwestern U.S., a little cool up there. And then we go ahead to Saturday. Much of the central U.S. is being taken over by warmer temperatures, including a return to mid and even upper 90s through that part of the world. And then going ahead to Monday, we're showing that the epicenter of these most above normal temperatures is right around New Madrid there, southern Illinois into southeast Missouri, and Memphis included in that with temperatures in the upper 90s. And we'll also show you, the last thing I'll show you is the hazardous heat outlooks. and these kind of move around a little bit. Just pick a date and a region. So this region right here is the 16th through the 17th, and the 16th through the 19th is here, in keeping with that temperature forecast I showed you. And then just kind of a broad brush 16th through the 20th. So throughout all this period, this area here remains on the hot side. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.